Please like my videos, please subscribe to my channel, and please press the bell icon so that you get to know when my latest video has come. And to learn more and to find a video relevant to you, please do check out my videos list.
Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. One of the important things that we need to consider in our lives, specifically connected to our horoscopes, is are we doomed for failure or are we doomed as a design to fail and not to get the good life or the good results? And this was a question which I had asked to my gurus long years back, almost when I was a teenager, and not just to one guru. I had asked this to 3 or 4 of my gurus, and the answer I got was very, very interesting. And I will be giving you the sar, as it's said in Sanskrit or in Hindi, or the sum total of the answers what I had got from them. I want to share with you that are we doomed by design in the zodiac or through a horoscope, or the DNA energies in the horoscope through the nakshatras. But before I answer that, let me narrate you a story before I get onto the topic for today, and that is, are we doomed by design to fail and to suffer? Now, in one of the offices, as a social experiment, an office did a social experiment on a youngster who was just fresh out of his MBA college, and the instruction given to the security guard was that this young MBA who has just joined office and this is his first job, you should salute him the moment he comes to office, and you should open the door for him every day. So the security guard was supposed to do this only for this guy, and do it for 3 months, for 90 days. So the security guard obliged. So the first day this MBA student came to work, the security guard had recognized him, saluted him, opened the door for him and let him in. So the MBA student felt good that, okay, this security guard has saluted me and also opened the door for me. And this continued day after day, week after week, month after month. And exactly after 90 days, roughly about 3 months, one fine day the security guard stopped saluting the young MBA grad and stopped opening the door for him. So when the MBA guy came to office and approached the door, he thought the security guard will open the door for him as well as salute him. When the security guard did not open the door for him, neither salute him, he almost ran into the door, waiting for the security guard to open the door, until the last minute when the security guard did not open the door. The MBA guy stood in his tracks and then looked at the security guard with a bewildered look and a questioning look in his eyes. The security guard looked back with the same expression, questioning expression, what do you want? Then the MBA grad looked at him and asked, aren't you supposed to open the door for me? So the security guard just followed instruction. He looked at the young grad and asked him and just said one thing. He said, excuse me. So this MBA guy, this new employee, thought maybe the security guard didn't understand. He said, aren't you supposed to salute me and to open the door for me every day? So the security guard, again according to instruction, said, excuse me. Then the MBA grad asked him again that, weren't you asked to open the door for me every day in the morning when I come to work, and this is what you have been doing day in, day out? So the security guard again looks at him and said, excuse me. Now this is too much for the MBA grad. He opened the door himself and he barged into his manager's office and said, this security guard is so rude. He is not opened the door and he is not saluted me. He is not following instructions. He is not doing his duty. So it was the manager's turn to surprise the grad. He said, excuse me. So this new employee said, no, aren't you getting, this security guard has not opened the door for me, neither has he saluted me today. So the manager again says, excuse me. Then the new employee understands there is something amiss, and then he asks the manager, he says, am I missing something? Then the manager explains to him that nobody is opened the door for, nobody is saluted to except the topmost bosses in the office. The door is open for nobody, and nobody is saluted by the security guard. This was the social experiment to check the power of feeling obliged or feeling that you are entitled to something. And we were doing that as an experiment for 90 days to see whether you feel entitled, you feel that it is an obligation on the part of the security guard, and we realized it is. And when the MBA grad was asked what did he feel about this, he said that I felt I was entitled to, this was the duty of the security guard to salute me every day and to open the door for me and even wish me good morning every day. And now I realized that I am not entitled to this, but I got used to it. So after 90 days I got so used to it, I felt I am entitled to, this is my right. So this was just an experiment in an office to find out the power of feeling entitled and not feeling grateful for something that are given to employees. The office did an experiment to check if benefits are given to employees and are withdrawn, how does the employee feel? But if the benefit is not given at the start and suddenly the benefit is given to the employee, is he happier? And the conclusion is easy. If you are given something as an entitlement from day one, you don't feel grateful for it. But if you are not given it from day one and you deserve it, like the senior bosses in the office earned it after years and years of service, then you feel that you have been given a return of the favor because you have risen to the exercise, you have risen to the requirement, you have risen to the responsibility. Same thing happens in the zodiac. Now I'll come back to my question. The reason I asked that question to my gurus is when you look at the design of the zodiac itself, when you look deep down, you will find that by design troubles are built into the zodiac, challenges are built into the zodiac. Why do I say that? Let's take the example of any sign. We know there are 12 signs in the zodiac. You take Aries or Taurus or Gemini, you take anyone. Let's go with the first sign, Aries. Now if you are born in the Aries ascendant, then your Lagna Lord is Mars. Okay. Now in every sign there are 3 nakshatra energies, out of which there are 2 major nakshatra energies, and at least there will be 1 nakshatra which will wholly lie within the sign. So in Aries sign ruled by Mars, there are 3 nakshatras. There is the Ashwini nakshatra, then there is a Bharani nakshatra, and then there is the Kritika nakshatra. The Ashwini nakshatra is ruled by Ketu, which is inimical to Mars. The second nakshatra is Bharani, ruled by Venus, which is inimical to Mars. Now the third nakshatra Kritika is ruled by Sun, which may be friendly to Mars. However, there is just one pada of Kritika in the sign of Aries. The 2 major nakshatras in the Aries sign, Ashwini and Bharani, both are ruled by planetary entities or bodies which are inimical to the Lagna Lord or the sign Lord. And go to any sign. Say for example, go to the Cancer sign. Cancer sign is ruled by Moon. What are the 3 nakshatra energies in the Cancer sign? Punarvasu, Pushya and Ashlesha. Out of this, Punarvasu is a very small bit, but the Pushya and the Ashlesha nakshatras are the major nakshatras which rule the Cancer sign. And the Pushya nakshatra is ruled by Saturn and the Ashlesha nakshatra is ruled by Mercury. And both Saturn as well as Mercury are inimical to the sign Lord, which is Moon. And you go to sign after sign, you will find the same pattern. You will find that the Lord of the sign will have an inimical relationship to the lords of the nakshatras which are within that sign. So doesn't this mean that whatever ascendant you are born in, the nakshatra of the ascendant, the ruler of the nakshatra, will always have an inimical relationship with the Lagna or the ascendant lord, which means that there will be troubles, there will be challenges, there will be issues. And not only that, when you look at the nakshatra which becomes a Janma nakshatra, which means the nakshatra in which Moon lies at the time of your birth, whenever moon goes into any friendly sign, you will find that the lords of the nakshatras will be inimical to moon. But if moon goes into an unfriendly sign, into an inimical sign, then the lords of the two nakshatras in which moon is placed, those two nakshatra lords will be friendly to moon. So moon will have to go into an inimical sign to get favorable nakshatra lords. But when moon goes in an inimical sign, we know what happens. We are emotionally troubled, we face emotional challenges, upheavals, and we also face challenges in prosperity. We have to work doubly hard to get love, affection and emotional stability in our life, plus we are not able to attract the prosperity that we desire. So does this mean whether whichever ascendant you are born in, the nakshatra lords will be inimical to our ascendant lord? Whichever sign moon is placed in, either moon has to be placed in an inimical sign or moon has to be placed in a friendly sign but with inimical nakshatra lords there. So this was the question I had asked to my gurus, and many gurus had asked to find what is the essence of their learning which they can share with me, and each one of them had their own reasons. But the sar or the sum total of the response was that the Lord wants us to be grateful for what we get. The Lord wants us to be kind. The Lord also wants us to not feel entitled to. If everything is given to everybody, then you don't feel grateful for anything. You don't feel a dearth of anything, and so you don't miss anything. So being kind to somebody, being ethical, that has no value. First of all, you don't need to be unethical because you're getting everything. And there is no question of kindness because everybody has everything. So who can you be kind to? So your soul truly elevates only when your soul is able to elevate by learning, by experiencing higher learning. And the higher learning comes only when you are also able to be grateful for and you are able to appreciate things. When do you appreciate things? Only when there is a dearth of things, only when there is a challenge and a problem in our lives, and then you find somebody else helps you, supports you, nourishes you, then you are grateful to that person. And when your turn comes, you also want to reciprocate, you also want to return the favor, and you also are kind and responsive and nurturing and supporting as a favor to others. So you favor others only when you feel that somebody has been good to you, somebody has been kind to you, and you also want to be kind to people, and you also want to appreciate, and you also want to give them back the same favor that they extended to you, and in that you feel happy. When somebody does a favor to you when you are in acute problem, you feel happy, you feel an angel has arrived to help you. On the return favor, you also feel happy when you have been able to return a favor to somebody who has in turn been kind to you. And so only by dearth of things, by facing challenges, by facing issues, do we truly learn to appreciate relationships. We learn to build relationships. We learn to help each other, to provide succor to each other, to provide nourishment and support to each other. And that support is very, very important, because the Supreme Lord has made each one of us. We are all the product or the children of the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord, the Supreme Energy loves all of us, and the Supreme Lord wants us to help each other. And in most of the religious books, you will find in almost every religious book the same lesson, the same standard lesson. Two things which are common. One, pray to the Supreme Lord, be grateful to the Supreme Lord, and be kind to fellow human beings, and be nice to each other, be understanding to each other, learn to live with each other. Why is the Supreme Energy asking us to pray to Him? Because in the prayer that you do, you are being grateful. Why do you pray to the Supreme Lord? Because you are grateful. And if you are not praying, that means you are not grateful. The activity of praying shows that you are grateful to the Supreme Lord. So it is a test for us whether you are grateful or not. Why would you be grateful? Only when you appreciate the things that are being given to you, and you are grateful, and only when you have a sense of gratefulness will you also help others, because when others extend help to you and vice versa, you will feel appreciated, you will also learn to share, you will also feel grateful when others have helped you, and you want to return the favor to them. So in essence, the Supreme Energy, the Supreme Lord does not want your prayers or my prayers. He doesn't want that we go and break a nariyal or a coconut in a temple, or light candles in a church, or go and do a salah in a mosque. The Supreme Energy just wants us to be grateful, and through prayers we show our gratitude to the Supreme Lord, and we show our gratitude only when we have a sense of missing something, not having something, and then being given something. And who generally gives it to us? The Supreme Lord makes others the source of the help, and through that help we are grateful to the Supreme Lord. So first we are grateful to the person who approaches us to help us, and then we also thank the Lord, saying that thank Lord for sending this help to me in the form of a brother, in the form of a friend, in the form of a neighbor. And then we are both grateful to that person who has been the source of the help, and we are grateful to the Supreme Lord, which means without being grateful to the fellow human beings, you can't be grateful to the Supreme Lord. And Supreme Energy tells us, wants us to have better relationship with each other, because only when you have better relationship, only when you have a dearth of things and you appreciate things, you are kind to people, and yet you have been ethical in your behavior, you have been moral in your behavior, does your soul truly elevate. So the flaw, the design flaw in a zodiac, the design flaw in a nakshatra is only to help our souls elevate more, and to help elevate our souls easier. Because if you are too loaded with all kinds of goodies, all goodness, goodies given to us, and easily we feel too obliged, we feel too entitled, we don't feel grateful, there is no learning for us, and we continue to be in the same situation in which we are born. There is no elevation of the soul, there is no higher learning, and there is no moving up the spiritual ladder. And because Supreme Energy wants us to move up the spiritual ladder, wants to help us elevate our souls, so the design flaws are built into our system, because through that we learn to be more grateful, we will learn to be more responsible, we will learn to be more kind to others, and we will appreciate our fellow beings better. So friends, in essence, the flaw is in our hearts or in our minds, not in the zodiac. The zodiac's challenges or seeming challenges are only to help us to elevate our souls through being able to understand each other better, help each other better, and support each other better. And through the high learning, we elevate our souls and then reach one more step up the spiritual ladder. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation for me, please reach out to me at the links given below. Until some other time, with some other video, this is your friend Astrologer and Guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.